Hi, this is Arkady Frekhtman. I'm a New York City personal injury trial attorney, and today I wanted to report on a record-breaking verdict, and this one happened in New Mexico. What is the case about? The verdict came down July 10th, 2023, and it involved a lawsuit that claimed defendants placed a foster child with a known abuser. So the case facts were that from 2017 to 2018, an 8-year-old girl lived with her foster parents, and this was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And there was a nonprofit company that placed the girl into the foster parents' home. And the Youth and Family Centered Services of New Mexico, which is a residential treatment center for children, they did business as Desert Hills, and they ran another company called Family Works. And then a larger company known as Acadia Healthcare owned Desert Hills. So when this infant, when she was living with this family, the husband, he sexually assaulted the child on multiple occasions. And in early 2023, he actually pleaded guilty to 7 counts of criminal sexual contact with a minor. And in 2019, there were reports of sexual abuse and violence at Desert Hills, and the state revoked the facility's license and ordered them to cease operations completely. So the child, through a guardian, sued the family, the husband and wife, the foster parents, the company, and basically all of the companies that we talked about. So she also sued the Acadia Healthcare, the main parent company, and its chief executive officer. And she alleged that all of the defendants negligently placed her in a home that was unfit for foster care. And so the wife, she was dismissed from the case, I guess because she didn't really know anything about it or she wasn't involved. So she was dismissed from the lawsuit prior to the trial. And the plaintiff's counsel argued that the nonprofit company, the one that placed the child into this foster system with these foster parents, that it had previously received reports from foster children alleging that this particular individual, this father or this husband, the particular male in that household, that he basically abused other children. And they received reports from foster children alleging that he sexually abused and or sexually assaulted them. However, Family Works still placed this 8-year-old child in his home, and that was the plaintiff's argument, that how can you do that if you have these reports? And so the defense argued that they continued placing foster children with this individual because they were unable to substantiate the abuse allegations. That these are just allegations and we weren't able to substantiate them. And we only knew, this is the defense argument, that we only knew before his guilty plea. Like once he made his guilty plea, then we knew that he was actually guilty. But which is kind of a weird argument because you always want to, err on the side of caution. If somebody is accused of being a sexual predator or molester, you don't place a child with them. But they said they didn't know until he pled guilty. And plaintiff's counsel said that the court also sanctioned the defendants for destroying evidence during the course of litigation. Specifically, the defendants allegedly destroyed emails and computer servers and shred nearly 1 million pages of documents. So the trial was limited to the issue of causation and damages because of the spoliation of evidence. And so the injury was that the 8-year-old girl, she was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression. And after the state discovered that this individual had sexually abused her, the child was removed from his care and she underwent psychiatric treatment that was ongoing at the time of trial. And the plaintiff had a psychiatry expert. In fact, the expert was a renowned expert, I believe, from Stanford. Yeah, Stanford. And so he testified that trauma from sexual abuse affects a child's physical, emotional, and psychological development. And also he argued that, or he gave the opinion that kids do not make false statements about being sexually abused. And so the child sought recovery of both compensatory and punitive damages, and the defense maintained that any damages amount that is allowed for or awarded by a jury should be limited. And so let's break it down. The verdict, the jury verdict, was for $485 million. And it was broken down like this: 5 million for punitive damages against the individual abuser, the husband, 80 million in compensatory damages, 75 million in punitive damages against youth and family-centered services, 75 million in punitive damages against family works, and $250 million in punitive damages against Arkady, the parent company, for a total of $485 million. This was a trial in New Mexico. The trial lasted 2 weeks, and the jury was out deliberating for 6.5 hours. And the report is based on information provided by plaintiff's counsel. Lawyers for the defendants declined to contribute or just failed to return the investigator, the reporter's calls and emails. And by the way, like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to talk a little bit about the strategy. So this particular attorney, what he likes to do is he likes to do these focus groups, and it's actually not just small focus groups where you call in, let's say 15 or 20 people and you speak to them, but rather big data studies. So he would invite, let's say, multiple focus groups where you speak to thousands and thousands of people. And he even wrote a book along with other authors called Jury Ball, where they talk about this big data. And so he did this big data study on this case, and that's how they told him the amount to ask for in closing argument. And then the data study told him how much he would potentially get as a verdict. And so the data has been proved correct. Like when you do studies, not just with like 15 or 20 people, but thousands upon thousands of people, let's say you interview like 20,000 people, it's getting almost to a science where if you think you have, let's say, a truck crash and you think this case is going to be worth like $19.2 million, and then it tells you what to ask for it. And let's say you ask for 30 million thinking, okay, I'm going to get 19.2, the jury verdict will come down like 19.1 or 19.3. It'll be almost an exact science. So they have this really narrowed in, dialed in, and they're doing an amazing job. So I hope this was helpful. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Let us know what questions you have. We are here for you. Our goal is helping serious injury victims and families. And if you need a consultation, just text me 347-566-9595. All the best and speak to you soon.